Welcome to the Doomer or the Boomer. Whoops.
No,
Welcome to the Bloomer versus Doomer podcast. My name is Random Candor, and this is our lovely co-host Briss.
you mean Driss?
Is
Driss the
it Driss,
Doomer? It's
Briss, or
Driss now.
Bryce?
It's Driss now. Driss the
Oh,
Doomer.
Driss with the Doomer drip. That makes sense. And today we are gonna be. Well, this show is all about bringing together the positive and negative, the pessimist and the optimist, and putting both takes on certain topics. And today we have a list of a couple of topics that we were talking about before. Generally, I'm more of a bloomer, and generally, Driss is more of a doomer. But we by no means are confined in these boxes. So we will just get head and run it, hit the ground running with our first topic, which is the return of Leafy. And he is a famous YouTuber who had a stint, came back in 2020, and he got banned again. He recently came back with the title LeafyNews. Some people have been comparing that to almost that Tom Dark, that Turkey Tom kind of side channel where he just riffs and tries to bring back 2016 commentary and like recent topics. I think he still keeps his videos like quite short, like 5 minutes. He's not so much filler like Turkey Tom does. But at the same time, there's also been this new ban of Hasan Piker, the guy who said cracker, he's a lefty streamer, kind of a bit of a grifter, and a bit of like not as smart as he seems because he's had some interactions with Too Mad recently and gets triggered and can't really articulate a point besides he's just trolling when Too Mad brings up legitimate points about his own hypocrisy.
So
So
isn't Oki just actually too mad like Loki?
no, that's racist. You're giving Oki too much credit. Yeah? They're actually like almost opposite personalities too.
Yeah,
Like
no, I
Oki seems
can
very
tell.
reserved.
No, it's funny because I watched Oki's latest video that he was doing about that like that undercover like that weird cult that he
The
infiltrated.
space shit, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that, and then I watched the that Hasan thing that you sent me like back to back. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm putting two and two together here. I'm see,
Yeah.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. All right,
You don't see color, you only see size.
yeah.
but back to the Hassan comparison with Leafy is like Leafy got banned for this bullying Pokemon like allegedly, even though he didn't really bully her at all. It was just clickbait and people just assumed the worst, which is kind of understandable, but also kind of makes him look foolish. But then Hassan got banned for using the word cracker because they're banning like all slurs and they're trying to like make white slurs equivalent to all and from some kind of like anti-bullying lens. But
How do you feel
Leafy
about that?
I feel like it's we talked a bit about it in the other podcast that we're on, the Measly Few, but
Yeah,
I think it's not equitable to say, the weight of a slur is equal in some like a majority white race in North America and in just mainstream culture in general. I
yeah.
guess. But I don't think that's equivalent at all to say, okay, that's the same thing as the N word. But at the same time, it's a bit of a slippery slope to say, okay, well, I'm deciding what is a damaging word and not others. I think it's commonly accepted that it is, but like edgelords have an okay point in terms of being like, well, how come they can say that, but we can't? White is a race too, and all this kind of bullshit. But I think it's bad. It's not. I would agree with the. I would disagree with the spirit of that rule, but I would agree with the letter of the law in terms of all slurs are bad. I can see it skewed that way, but it is a bit. It is a bit much. I think. What do you think?
I'm very free speech. I think anybody should be able to say anything they want. So
Mm. Mhm.
I don't know.
Are you thinking more the like not freedom from consequences, but freedom of speech kind of thing? Like,
Well, I mean, I can definitely see where you're coming from because I mean, we come from this philosophical perspective that in our society, especially here in the United States, black people came over here and they were slaves and they had to essentially struggle for a very, very long time to basically be equitable as in our society as people. And
Mhm.
so when it comes to the language involved and when it comes to like white culture and black culture and how we interact with each other and even how like immigrants and white people and immigrants and black people and how all of us intermingle with each other we've always been a melting pot,
Mhm.
what is it, e pluribus unum or something like that, out of many become one.
Um,
Yeah, but you know, we've always been that. But
Mm.
I would say that it would be wrong. It would be wrong to just sit there and be like, oh man, you know, like black people haven't had to, you know, struggle, or you know, black people didn't have it any worse than the Irish did, or anything like that. That would be kind of stupid.
That
Um,
is something that's thrown around, like Italians and Irish and stuff too.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and so like if I say the N slur or something like that, and a black person gets mad, I mean, I get that, like, but I still think that I should be able to say it and like not get arrested for it or something like that. That's the perspective that I'm coming from.
True. And I do think that though, like with that perspective, how far would you go in the sense of if you said that word and like said it pejoratively in this like very hateful way, and then a
Well, I've
black
done that
person,
before.
true, but like you said that to a black person to their face and they punch you in the face, is that aggravated assault? Or is that so kind of like an acceptable thing? Is that
I
wishy-washy? Or
mean,
is that no,
if
assault is
somebody
assault?
if somebody calls me the F slur and I punch them in the face, I mean, because I'm a gay guy and I get mad because they called me the F slur, or
Yeah.
because they called my significant other the F slur and I get mad at that, and then I punch them, that's still assault.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. We're getting into some different territory with it.
Let me clarify this. If you were a member
Yeah,
of the jury and someone was saying like, okay, I guess they're on trial for assault because they're provoked by a slur, would you be more lenient to them if they're provoked by a slur, or would it be cut and dry regardless of provocation?
I would say it's more cut and dry, and I would also analyze the circumstance that was provided within the trial itself, like
Hmm.
what was going on
Led to the
before.
slur, or
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I would look at that if I was on the jury. I don't know how other people would do that, but I don't know. It's an incredibly complex issue.
What
Like,
about what
go
about
ahead.
yelling the slur at somebody and that being like a hate crime
No,
because of speech? What about a graffiti of a slur?
graffiti. I mean,
Hate crime versus vandalism.
hate crime versus vandalism. I mean, I see graffiti on the trains all the time. We go by the train track when we're going to work.
Yeah, so maybe
Um,
I'll clarify. If it's like a black family or something and someone spray paints the N-word on their house, graffiti or hate crime.
I mean that just seems uncalled for to me. Like
Mhm.
not even as a hate crime thing. Like, why would you even do that? It just seems like a waste of energy. So
Yeah, to spread the hate and hurt somebody probably.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, we talked about this in the other podcast, but I mean, I grew up in a majority black town, so I mean, that would just be weird to me to see that. I would see
True.
that and be like, man, like why would you even do that?
Yeah.
So
Well, fair enough. But yeah, so Leafy came back and then he was banned for this kind of bullying thing. Hassan was banned for generically saying these slurs. And he came back, I think, and then continued to say like white slurs and he got banned. And I think Leafy was saying like, no, no one should be banned for saying the word cracker. Same thing with Mumkey too, from the like free speech angle, but also in a way that they kind of it seems to me at least not putting kind of words in their mouth, but it seems like they acknowledge like it is different than saying the N word or the F slur to someone that is a minority.
yeah.
But but you would say like more the free speech is free speech regardless of the intensity. Although you seem to acknowledge that like the N word F slur is worse than cracker,
I would say
even if
that
neither are a crime.
I don't really care about I don't I mean, when it comes to the word cracker, I don't really care. And
Uh-huh.
when it comes to the N slur or even the F slur, I also don't really care in the same way. Like, I'm kind of I mean, we talked about the word ambivalent before, I think a couple weeks
Mm,
ago. Like,
yeah.
it's where I have like kind of indifferent views, but also at the same time I have maybe some contradictory to indifferent views on the subject. So it depends on the context, but I mean, I just really think that, and then in the last podcast we were talking about this. I just really feel like it's ignoring the bigger picture, and it's a little bit too focused on the nomenclature involved and specifically what it might mean in a very specific context, as opposed
Mhm.
to what it might mean in a bigger context. So I don't know.
I, I guess if Twitch's stance is, against all hate speech, then I guess it's kind of egalitarian, this move, right?
What banning cracker?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that anybody should ban anything, but I think anybody should be able to say the N word on any platform or say say cracker or whatever. But I don't know. But I can see how that can be appropriated in the incorrect way too. So I don't know, man. It's a big problem. It's
Yeah.
a big thing. So
I think
it's
we meant before, like I personally think it's more of a distractor and like, yeah, okay, great, like virtue signal, all hate is bad, but at the same time, it is kind of almost displacing the attention away from like Twitch as a censorer versus Twitch as like a arbitrator for what is hate speech and what isn't, when really they're just censoring.
I just wish people could be as stupid as me.
Well, that is very hard because you have a high IQ. Not a lot of people are blessed with those genetics, this. But moving, I guess, are you a Leafy fan at all?
I have never watched even one Leafy video.
I downloaded a torrent of like all his old. I mean, I legally acquired a compilation of Leafy's like entire career. I'll probably make some like videos about reviewing like each of his years and kind of eras. But he back in the day, like I know I was never a fan in 2016. Like I know my girlfriend really hated him because he was a symbol of like all this toxic teenagers kind of just like swarming and stuff. But when he came back in 2020. I was actually a pretty big fan. He was talking very level-headed. He has a good personality in terms of like he's decently witty. He's obviously money hungry, but that's almost nice to see from someone instead of like having this facade of like, oh, I love my fans. I do it all for you guys. You know, I work so hard and bullshit. Like he's just in it for the money, and like his fans know that, and that's
There,
part of his kind of appeal.
there's a guy I used to do podcasts with. His name is Meliminus. I don't know if he's a well-known person or not. He used to claim that he had a lot of subscribers and he made buku bucks on his YouTube channel. I don't know what it's like now, but I remember him back in the day,
Mhm.
like comparing himself to Leafy. I don't even know if he's
Favorably?
relevant.
Like, was he saying like, "Oh, I'm the next Leafy guys. If you're a fan of Leafy, subscribe to me."
I mean, this would have been around 2000, and so let me see if he actually still makes videos. Melin- Meliminus. Well, he has 237K subscribers. Huh.
Jeez, how are the views? People, I think, can bot shit, right?
Uh, maybe. Wait
Used
a
to
minute.
though.
Let's see. Everything wrong with Teen Titans Go to the movies. 1.2 million views.
Jeez, and that's a pretty kind of big
Every
topic. I could see.
Everything wrong with friendship games in 17 minutes or less parody. 3.1 million views.
All right, well, they can't take that away from the man. Sounds like he's doing it legit
Oh
from
yeah,
appearances.
he's he's a cool guy. The only thing that relates to the Leafy subject. I remember back in the day when I used to talk to him a lot. Like he comparatively would phrase himself in a way that was like he's sort of like the new Leafy, or he's trying to be the Leafy for the thing that he was doing, which was My Little Pony content and also like furry stuff.
Mm.
And I mean he's bigger than Digibro and like all those other guys, and so I mean like,
All right.
we can't go one podcast without talking about Digibro, by the way.
Yeah, that's really a running theme in our podcast together. But now we can put his name in the title and grift some attention from him. His
Whoopsie doodle.
3.1.
We
Because
would
of
probably make more money if we put Meliminus in the title because he has more subscribers and clearly his videos get more views.
exactly. We'll put a
I
big.
could probably talk to the guy and ask him if he wants to be on one of our podcasts. He'd probably be down.
That'd be sick. That'd be great. Well, we'll put in the title Driss's troubled past with Meliminus.
All right.
Exposed in caps. But yeah, so like he's back now doing kind of just like superficial kind of drama type stuff, giving his quick takes, which I think is not the worst thing. I hope he stays for longer this time because like really, it sounds like YouTube has this pattern of like tacitly going back on their word, like with Mumkey and other creators that they like ban unjustly. They won't revoke the ban, but they'll like let things slide later. Like they're too big to that they don't know that these people are still on the platform. So it sounds like they're just kind of like, yeah, we kind of fucked up before. Like, I don't want to bring too much attention to this to ban them again, bring the news cycle back, and like have people rehash this shit. So let's just allow it.
Yeah, that could be true. There also might be legal problems involved with that as well.
Mm. Yeah, it's for like headache and but they're pretty big though. So if it was like legal, just like jump through hoops, I'm sure they'd do it.
Yeah. It
But next,
it
go
depends
on.
on who's handling it. No, I was just going to say it depends on who's handling it.
Oh, like each person might have a different view of that specific creator, and they'll allow it now, but the last person might have been more hate or
Yeah.
negatively viewing.
I was also speaking also on in a legal sense. It depends on how like Leafy's legal team and YouTube's legal team would have handled an issue like that.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, now on to the next topic, which is the post Christmas slash post New Year's holiday feels, that holiday hangover. How have you been holding up since the Christmas? Because we podcasted last Christmas Eve, I believe, right?
Yeah, we did, and that was uploaded to the Measly Few channel. Everybody go subscribe.
Subscribe, link in description.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I went to work like usual, and I worked my little 4-day week, and I was kind of checked out, to be honest, because the places that we ship are that we the parts that I manufacture on my side of the shop, like we can't really do anything with them because the place that we ship them to be electrocoated um, is basically down for the holidays. So I was
And
basically
you, just to clarify, you work as a welder, or what's your
I
kind of job title?
so I do weld by hand. I am a welder, but I work with various industrial machinery. Specifically, what I do is I program robots to do mass production welding, and I'm also the operator and the maintenance person for said robots as well.
Damn.
That is primarily what I do, and I was doing a whole lot of that. But like I said, I make my parts and you know pick through them and make sure that they're welded okay as usual.
So
Um,
really, like if you make the robots in the first place, you generate them.
well, no, I program. I don't make the robots. I just program them and I operate them. So normally, what like in an actual plant, you would have the programmer, and then you would have an operator, and then you would have somebody going through the parts to make sure that all the parts were welded correctly. But I kind of do all of that myself. So
Hmm.
it's a pretty small plant, but I mean, I can churn out like 2,000 parts a day.
And in
If
that, like through your programmed robots. Right?
Yeah, through the use of robots. Welding by hand, I don't think I could even hold a candle to that. But
Is there any like niche market of like, oh, I would prefer hand welded stuff, and they can like charge a premium for that for like side hustle or
yeah,
anything?
yeah, of course there is. But it depends on the material, and it depends on the job, and it depends on the workpiece.
Mm.
Fortunately, the workpiece that I mostly do is it's a part for RVs. I'm not gonna get I don't want to get super involved with
Yeah,
talking
no
about my
worries.
job.
Fair
But
enough.
basically all I wanted to say was I went and I did my job. I was kind of checked out. Like I was ready for another little mini vacation anyway.
Mhm.
So, and
Fair
I'm
enough.
kind of glad I got it. It gave me a chance to kind of chill out and relax and maxing all cool and shooting some b-ball outside of the school.
And a couple of guys.
Yeah.
You're up to no good. But so that sounds like a pretty extensive job description, though. Like, are you? I imagine in that field you're quite marketable, and maybe could name your salary.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know if I want to talk about my salary.
Yeah, no,
I was supposed to be up for review last month, but
no. Mhm.
I got a raise during the summer. I was supposed to get
Nice.
I was supposed to get another
Attaboy.
raise. I was supposed to get another raise um after Thanksgiving, but uh boss went on holiday, and I don't know. Like I said, it's a small shop and it's very loosely ran, and I like how much I get paid. I definitely think I should be paid more, but
Mhm.
I like my pay, and I'm fairly comfortable as a person, so I don't really have too much to complain about.
Fair enough. But yeah, that sounds like you're kind of a one-stop shop for your sphere, so that's pretty dope. But I don't blame you for being checked out. I think most people are during this week at least, or during that the last week of the year.
Especially when you're making stuff and you can't even send it out to where it needs to go because everybody else is shut down, but you're still working. Uh,
Yeah, So like, do you just like during this time usually you just ramp up your kind of backlog and then send it all whenever they're open?
I always try to stay one step ahead of the production schedule, but staying ahead of that is contingent upon the person who tells me when the orders come in, and I need to know when the orders come in, and I have to be prepared for them.
Ah,
So
okay, fair. So the
yeah,
information breakdown during this time, or like the lack of that
yeah,
last cog in the wheel turning, can allows you a little bit of flexibility to chill during this time. It sounds like.
yeah, can potentially be an issue, but I was productive, so there's that.
Huh.
What about you?
My post like Christmas, I got COVID, like I mentioned before, but so that was pretty tough. I just did my rapid test and I was negative. So I never tested positive, but I had a positive contact and I had like very clear signs of COVID slash bad flu. So I think it's just a path of least resistance and most common things being common. It was COVID,
Mm.
but that allowed me an extra week off towards the end of like Christmas to New Year's. I was supposed to be back, but that allowed me to stay kind of home for a bit longer, which was a nice thing, even if I did have to quarantine. But I'm not antsy to get back. But I think the holidays for me is always like a nice time being separated and like being isolated during COVID for the holidays, which I think is a common thing for this year especially, but also last year. It was a little bit more depressing, but at the same time, not too make or break. I can see people who are like really into the holidays, really into family and stuff, really being kind of put down by that. But it didn't affect me too much. I'm just excited for the new year. Do you have any resolutions?
Are you close with your family, by the way?
Kind of. Like I'm close with my brothers and stuff, and my parents. I was a bit
Did you
of
go back
a
home
bad
to see your
boy.
fam? Did you go back home to see your family or anything like that?
I couldn't because of the COVID, but I
Because of
did
the
like
COVID, all
talk to
right.
them. Yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, I was a bit of a nefarious teen,
Okay.
so I didn't have the best relationship with my parents during that time. But now that we're like more all adults and like a little bit more even,
Right.
then I think we can respect each other and get along a lot better.
Before we move on to the next question, give me 1 second. I'm going to check on my clothes and put them in the
Sure,
dryer.
go for it.
Quality control. That's the word I was looking for earlier.
You see.
I was so fucking consternated. Like when I was talking about my job, it's like, yeah, well, I program the robots and I do the operation. What's that other thing I do where I look at the thing and I make sure that it's okay? Man, there's a word
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, it's something that it doesn't usually come up outside of like that kind of
Yeah. Oh,
tech
that
talk and stuff,
well,
right?
that fucking goes back to. I mean, like I say the word consternated. Like I have to do a lot of things at my job. We recently got some new hires in, so I got people working under me, and I got them doing a lot of the stuff that I was doing, and that's really nice. And we're actually supposed to get some more, so I'll have some more people that I'll have to be supervising. I guess I don't really like the idea of being a supervisor. I just want to be left alone. I just want to do my job. Like I don't mind having a whole lot of work to do. That's never bothered me. At every other job that I've ever done, I like having things to do. It makes me feel useful. But telling other telling other people to do stuff and being their manager is like it just seems like a recipe for disaster. Like go over there and do that thing that I normally had to do, and then just let me focus on this. And like don't ask me a myriad of questions and sideline me. Like I don't need to deal with that. I don't know,
So
but
you would
yeah,
you rather, so like would you are you more, because what I'm hearing is more there's two things, like whether you want to be like someone's boss and breathe down their neck and like have that animosity of like that power dynamic, or is it more like you just want to do your craft and not worry about any of the people bullshit?
it's the second one. It is definitely the
Mm,
second one.
true.
Um, I and the one of the new hires we got, like we're kind of not sure about him, but like and like I had my reservations about the guy, but he works hard. Like I mean
Mhm.
he takes, like he, instead of taking a 15-minute break, he takes like a half-hour break, but
Mhm.
like he still does a lot of work, and I don't care. He can take a half-hour break, he can take an hour-long lunch if he wants to. Like he does a lot of work, and I'm satisfied with what he does. He can do whatever he wants to.
So
um
the output in terms of quality and amount is appropriate, but like maybe there's some, maybe misunderstanding of the culture or like taking advantage of things or like thought to be not Like superficially, it seems like he doesn't have a good work ethic because he takes long breaks and bullshit, but he gets the work done.
I mean, I don't even think it's superficial that he has bad work ethic, just because his output speaks for itself. Like, his output is great. So, I
True.
mean, if he wants to take a half-hour break instead of a 15-minute one, I say go ahead, like, let him do it. That's my mentality. Now, that's not necessarily conducive to the corporate mentality of how this
Mhm.
thing should go along. But I'm also not really the person who should be like critiquing this or talking about it, because I don't come from the perspective of somebody who understands that in a comprehensive way. I'm just a
Yeah.
guy who knows how to do some things, and I can do some certain things very well, and I like doing those things, and I also don't like being bothered while I'm doing those things. So,
Has this guy been like talked to about those breaks and stuff?
no.
See, that's an issue I have with like a lot of organizational structures and like professional environments. It's like all these people will like be not necessarily catty, but like talking about people and like, oh, I'm not sure, you're taking so long breaks, but then won't really broach that to them. So they might not even know this is like a conscious, or they might not be a conscious like defying of orders. It might just be like, oh, I thought it was more loose. I'll change now that you mention it.
Yeah. Well, just to juxtapose, I don't take breaks, and I also don't take a lunch. I eat my lunch while I'm working. So, just to kind of contrast how he approaches it compared to how I approach it. So, I mean, and that's no, like, that's nothing against him, and that's nothing against anybody who does take breaks or takes lunches. I just like to keep going. I like to keep going until it's time for me to stop. If I'm
Yeah.
hungry, I will eat, but I will eat while I'm working, because
Mm.
I can do that. My job has the leniency to where I can go to the break room for like 5 minutes and heat up something in the microwave and then take it with me and then eat it while I'm still working. And I
Mm.
prefer to do that as opposed to sitting down for a half hour and completely destroying all my momentum and having my blood pressure fucking crash, and like having to get up and like stretch myself and like fucking go again. I don't want to do that. I want to do that when I go home, when it's time for me to relax. That's when it's time for me to relax, not when I'm at work. So, and I'm probably
I,
just a peculiar person, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm with you in terms of like the momentum. I'd like to just keep going and nonstop, especially if it's like the morning into like the afternoon and stuff, and then just clock out when I'm off and be off. But at the same time, there is like a problem with like, especially like whenever you're cutting your teeth or you're coming up in some industry to like especially like business, if you think about investment banking and stuff like that, when people first enter it, like you're worked like a dog, 80 100 hour weeks, and like based on that performance, it's almost like hazing, where the upper levels will be like, okay, he's kind of proven, he's put in his time, he's gone through the gamut, so now we can promote him to like a real humane job. And then other places are like, they take advantage of, or not take advantage, but work cultures can like make employees feel like, I'm not doing enough. I shouldn't be taking the breaks and stuff that are in my contract because that will look poorly on me and all this kind of stuff. And then it becomes like a lot of people are like, well, no, I love my job. I love my work. I love my company. I don't want to take breaks on their behalf to better them. But the company often doesn't really care about the workers like that. So it can lead to burnout, resentment about like, oh shit, like I done all the sacrifice for you, but you're not like rewarding me or promoting me appropriately based on my sacrifice. And they're just kind of like, well, it's nice that you worked overtime, but we never asked you to, so we have no obligation.
Yeah, yeah. And
If
I
that
think
makes sense.
I think we talked a little bit about this in one of the other measly few podcasts.
Hmm.
Um, when I was talking about when I was working at that dollar store.
Hmm.
Um, I can't remember which one that was, but yeah, that's another reason why you guys should just go watch the measly few podcasts. And I'm not
Hey,
gonna.
stop! No more shilling. Okay.
Shit.
Next in our list is the year in review. So the best music, movies, games, or any kind of things that are notable about 2021. Do you have anything that comes to mind?
You want to go first since I went first the last time?
Sure. Who's keeping tabs? But I think, well, first off, like starting from the end and backwards, Spider-Man, the new one, No Way Home, solid. Probably my favorite Marvel movie since like Endgame. I think it's better than Endgame, maybe Infinity War, and like the best Spider-Man movie other than Spider-Verse for me. So I was pretty impressed with that. Not to go into spoilers or anything like that, but there was definitely a lot of fan service for Spider-Man fans in general outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that was solid. Other game, like I don't really play any recent games. My girlfriend played Ghost of Tsushima throughout the year, and she really liked that. I played the Miles Morales PS4 game, which was quite good, short, but not quite as good as the original Spider-Man PS4 because that was like 10 out of 10 for me. But it was definitely up there. Has a good kind of a relaxing feel to it, immersive. Everyone always says, "Oh, it makes you feel like Spider-Man," and it's true, even if it is a meme. Anything else come to mind for you?
I was going to talk about music. I had two
Go for it.
albums. I had two albums I wanted to make a mention. So, uh, Yngwie Malmsteen, who is one of my favorite guitar players ever, he
He's like
released an
he's renowned for being like one of the most like virtuous or virtuoso. What's that word? Guitar
vir-
virtuoso?
virtuoso, yeah, or
There we go.
virtuosic,
Ah,
yeah, which I think would be the adjective. But
nice.
anyway, he released an album this year called Parabellum. I've actually watched a couple of reviews of the album.
Including Needle
I'll,
Drop.
I'll have to name drop the channels or the YouTube channels that did the reviews of the album at some other point. But the name of the album is called Parabellum, and it's really good. And I was actually looking forward to him touring in the United States, but apparently because of COVID-19 restrictions, he can't tour in the United States in 2022. So it's uh, it's kind of a bummer. Uh, Paul Gilbert, another one of my favorite guitar players, released a Christmas album. Go ahead and check that one out.
Paul Gilbert.
Yeah, Paul Gilbert. He's the lead guitar player for Mr. Big. Well, Mr. Big is defunct now because their drummer died. Pat Torpoy died, I think, back in
R.I.P.
2018.
Mm.
And he's also the lead guitar player for Racer X, which is a neoclassical speed metal band from the 1980s. And I think they've had like 6 or 7 albums. But anyway, a couple of
Wow.
live albums too. But anyway, but yeah, those are the two ones. Paul Gilbert's Christmas album. Go ahead and check it out. It was released 2021. I think November of 2021. I think.
Nice.
And then Yngwie Malmsteen released Parabellum in May of 2021. So those are some
And
good ones.
where's Malmsteen from? Sweden or Iceland?
He's from Sweden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
for
awesome
me,
guitar player. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say for me, for music, definitely Kanye's Donda. I loved. I listened to it like back or from front to back with my girlfriend on like a car ride, which is ideal for it because it's like a long ass album and it's kind of like a slow burn. So if you're really listening all the way through, you get the full experience of like this really troubled mind and his kind of gospel influenced hip hop and like I really enjoyed it. I think it's one of his best since uh, The Life of Pablo. It's very similar to his Yay album. Uh, some people loved it. Some people didn't like it that much. It was kind of hotly contested with Drake's Certified Lover Boy, which was I thought was pretty good for a Drake album. But a lot of people thought it was underwhelming. And Tyler the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost. I love that album as well. Almost as good as well. It was his Igor album from like 2018 or so, or 2019 was like really celebrated. It's like his best work critically, reception wise. I don't think it's quite as good as that, but it's definitely almost there. So I was very happy with that one.
I haven't listened to Kanye since like Gold Digger dropped. So
Oh shit!
yeah, I remember hearing that on Boondocks back in the day.
Oh really? I didn't know.
Yeah, yeah. It's when Granddad was fucking that light skinned girl.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
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 yeah. That was a classic episode.
yeah. That's a
Uh,
good one. Yeah, I was never really a big fan of Kanye. I mean, I kind of wish that I was.
yeah.
He's always been such a like a weird like figure in pop culture. But I mean, you could say the same thing about like Suge Knight and Dr. Dre and Eminem, and you can say the same thing. Yeah, like even somebody like Eric Sermon or like MC Search or like any of these people, MC Hammer. So like that's kind of a bias that I think I should just get over if I want to get into his music. So
So like, it's the personality that like the ego and like
like
the
like
narcissism.
well, maybe, but I honestly think it's my fault for not looking into him too deeply because it's like the narcissism that's kind of kept me away, but like I definitely know there's probably some talent there, but like I don't want to explore it just because I'm put off by the ego, which is I don't blame him for that. I blame me for that because I should be able to look past that, especially considering like what I just said. Like there are so many other rappers. Like that's the thing about hip hop is like it's about ego. It's about putting yourself above everybody else. Like that's what being an MC is all about. You're going to be the best MC. If you're going to be an MC, that's what you're going to be. You know,
Exactly.
everybody from like fucking LL Cool J and Chuck D and Cool
Ladies love Cool J,
yeah, and
yeah.
fucking Cool Keith and fucking everybody just like you know,
Mhm.
and it doesn't even matter what your skin color is. Like, if you're gonna be an MC, you're going to be the fucking best MC. Like
Mhm.
Nas and just everybody. So
Mhm.
yeah, so like when it comes to the Kanye thing, like it's totally my fault that I'm put off by it. I don't know. It's something that I need to get around to. I didn't even know he was still putting out albums. I thought he was done.
Mm-mm. He's been just like, he is kind of like very multifaceted with his fashion and all that kind of stuff, but no, he's still putting out music, I guess, is his main claim to fame. But I think that's a big conversation in the hip hop world about like these days with the mumble rappers and all that kind of stuff. No one is really saying that like throughout 80s, 90s, like 2000 and everything, everyone was all, Wheezy with like I'm the best rapper alive, and everyone like Pac and Biggie and Jay. Everyone was always like, yeah, I'm the best. And a lot of the times it's like, okay, clearly you're not. Like you're not that lyrical, you're not that kind of intricate flows or like technical proficiency, but it is kind of part and parcel with the image of hip hop, the ego of being a rapper and making you sound like basically rap and hip hop is just making things sound cool. And yeah, if you're cool, if it's intricate and like very complex, then that's great. But at the same time, your main thing is like you're selling your image as a cool guy, and like that's what makes people a fan of you, kind of thing. So, but these days with the mumble rappers, no one's really worried about being the best rapper. They're worried about like, I have a drug addiction and so, I fuck these bitches, all this kind of stuff. It's more like I'm cooler than you versus I'm better than you, where that used to be like the main thing of rap beefs and stuff is just technical proficiency and that. But it is a bit of a shift in the culture away from like, okay, I don't care if I'm the best rapper at all. I'm getting the most money.
Yeah, and I would say uh, it. I mean, that was definitely there even in the old school days. What I like to call the era of hip hop that like when I was a kid, like 8 or 9 years old, I like to call it the Ballin' Sean Collin era. Like it was post gangster rap. It was when you were seeing like people like Ja Rule were like really popular. Um, and it was after Biggie had died. It was after Pac had died. So it was like late '90s, early 2000s. Fucking like Busta Rhymes like changed his entire image. Like what was it? Don't this hit make my people want to jump, jump? Don't this
Oh
hit make my
yeah.
people want to? And but then like he did that, but then like a few years after that, like he went and changed his image again. So it was a time when like there was so much uproarious change and nobody really knew what the next big thing was. And then like Southern hip hop like took off. Like
Yeah.
you had like Petey Pablo and you had Young Bloods like and especially like living in the South myself, like I saw that take off and like I felt like a sense of like security and that like hell yeah, like finally like Southern hip hop is like going somewhere. And it's
Don't
I
lie.
think
You're a big fan of Paul Wall. You're like, yes, finally some representation.
and I think it started really with Outkast, like
Oh yeah.
yeah, like Stankonia when that came out, like that was a huge deal. Like
Hmm.
Miss Jackson was all over MTV and BET and everything.
That's
Uh,
true. And that was
but
before like the Hey Roses era too.
yeah, yeah, like I think like 5 or 6 years before that too.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, because Andre and even Big Boy to a lesser degree are both like touted as like definitely top 10 candidates.
yeah, but yeah, no, I totally get where you're coming from. Where like the identity crisis with hip hop music and like what they're trying to prove and where they're trying to prove it and how they're trying to prove it. That's definitely changed over time. And especially is it can be concerning considering like different regions of the United States, like
Hey,
so
hang on
like
for a
so
sec. Briz, hang on for a sec. Hey, are you here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, not bad. I had to talk to my girlfriend because I'm letting her in to the garage. But yeah, no, go on with the change from Outcast and all that.
No. The big thing that I noticed from during that, like, because I was talking like the Ball and Sean Collin era, it was about
Mm,
it was like it was like suddenly about how much money you had and about like all of the all of the expensive things that you had or you could buy. It went from like gangsta clout and lyrical, being a lyrical miracle spiritual individual, and
mm,
like, being that, to like, look at all of the stuff that I have, and it became more about that. and
yeah.
then and then with the southern hip hop, it became more like, like grassroots, like we're trying to be more down to earth, but also at the same time we're still being incredibly like like we're down to earth, but we still got the wristwatches, and like we still got the Air Force One, stomping in my Air Force One, big boy stomping in my Air Force Ones.
Nelly, yeah, I forgot about Nelly.
We up in Foot Locker looking like I need those. 10.5, and if you got them, give me two of those. I can tell she never seen Murphy Lee before, cause she be standing there as if I'm shooting free throws. And
Man, the Nelly era was huge.
yeah,
Huge.
yeah,
What was this group called again? The Saint Lunatics.
yeah, the St. Lunatics, because he's from St. Louis, Missouri.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but I remember all of that. But it was like it kept moving around, but it was like focused. It was like ego focused in different places, like ego
Mm,
focused in being down to earth, ego focused in what you have and like your monetary gain, or ego focused in like your gangsta cred, or ego
yeah.
focused in your like how ill you can spit, or like
Mhm.
an amalgamation of that. So
That's true. Ego is always at the central part of it, but like you were saying, I think the changes from like the gangster rap era to like the kind of backpack rap slash the bling era, which were kind of concurrent, and then like even changing from 50 Cent to kind of like, or I think maybe it was Nelly, then 50 Cent, then kind of Kanye. It was almost like going from like, okay, there's more grassroots or like kind of laid back Nelly, who's like still kind of gangster, but not really. He's making love songs and Ja Rule and all that stuff. Then 50 Cent, who's like, yeah, fuck these clowns. And then it was Kanye, who's like, yeah, I'm not hard, but I fucking have an ego and I make great like production and stuff.
I think 50 Cent blew up because he was associated with Eminem.
True, but at the same time, he took down Ja Rule without much of M's help. To be
Yeah,
fair.
I mean, but Ja Rule was a joke to begin with.
He wasn't really like he actually like was he is pretty street connected and like was pretty like gangster back in the day, and then he just started doing the Ashanti songs and became a pop star, and then people then made him an easy target, I think.
That might be true.
And he also
I
apparently
know
like a lot of people were mad because he was just like trying to take Tupac's place with the
that
gruff kind of.
that's what I was about to say, is like he like that's the earliest thing that I remember being a criticism about him, was that he was just trying to be a Tupac ripoff.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even I think there's a Redman interview where
Oh
like
yeah.
where I don't I think it's on Vlad, where like Redman's talking about how like it's like, oh yeah, like Ja Rule was in a cipher with me and we did a rap battle, and then Redman totally shot it down and was saying, I was like, yeah, I've rapped with the guy, but I mean, I don't think he could take me in a rap battle or something like that. So I don't know,
Fair
and
enough.
then that goes back to ego.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Actually,
all it's always in the center of this.
that's right. Now that you brought up Redman, there's also like because of Method Man, like the Wu Tang and stuff. That was also like almost like that kind of more street and like less bling oriented kind of style, but not necessarily gangster, but kind of adjacent.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I would say that it took on some of the more gangster elements that were popular. I mean, like NWA and like Cypress Hill and the Beastie Boys were making that popular back in the late '80s.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's all about trends. It's all about what you can and can't say. And I like imagine, imagine you're in a recording studio. It's like 1985 or 1984, and your rap is, cooling on the corner this one time, chilling at the party and running lines, smoking my crack, saying my rhyme, counting my bang just to pass the time. Met a young girl who could throw that bass. Boyfriend beefed, he was on my case. I took it to the place, threw the mattress in the face, then I shot homeboy in his fucking face. And your group name is the Beastie Boys, and you want to put that on your album, Don't Be a Faggot, which was the name of License to Ill, by the way. They wanted to call it that.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So like, but then your record studio is like, or your record company is like, no, you can't put that on there. Not only is it like a blatant ripoff of another song by Schoolie D, but like we can't put it on there because it's incredibly graphic comparatively to some of the other things that you're saying. And then meanwhile, you have a song called Rhyming and Stealing where, fucking, I think Mike D says, I smoke my crack and I'm rhyming and stealing. So
I didn't even know Beastie Boys were like gangster like that. Actually,
they were. As a matter of fact, NWA were rapping covers of Beastie Boys songs initially when they were getting their start. They did, I think, a cover of Brass Monkey, and then it turned into like a parody of Brass Monkey. Like they did their own parody of Brass Monkey, if I'm not mistaken. So
but the Beastie Boys weren't really living it like that, were they?
I mean, as far as I know, no. There's some footage out there of them like literally destroying rooms and doing incredibly crazy shit that you can look up.
But that's like rock star shit. It's not necessarily like gang banging, killing people.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, I don't think those things are mutually exclusive. I mean, look at like Motley Crue,
Would they kill people?
Or look at or look at a song like Dr. Feelgood. Like where does that come from? Like Dr. Feelgood by Motley Crue. Like where does like the knowledge of that or the assessment of that come from, if not from like a rock star who has like dipped their toes into the life of like that type of gangster proclivity. So
yeah, I haven't heard that song, but I imagine it's pretty graphic.
I don't know.
But
I think we got off base there.
Fair enough. But any games or anything else for the year in review?
Games, no games in review. Sorry.
No worries. So
I think we turned this into the fucking like hip hop podcast.
No,
unfortunately.
It's good shit. You have to share your expertise. And so next topic was briefly touching on the Ghislaine trial. I actually saw a couple of Ghislaine Maxwell, the continuation of the Jeffrey Epstein trial. So she got convicted for 2 out of 3, I think, counts of kind of child endangerment or like sex trafficking of children. I actually saw a couple videos or like a Trash Rats podcast from like a year ago or so, and they were talking about like no way she's gonna get convicted. They're gonna protect her, like the wealthy elite and all this kind of stuff. So it was actually surprising to some people that she got convicted. I thought she was always going to, like, even if it's the evidence was shoddy, I didn't pay too much attention to it. But like worst case scenario, like in terms of public opinion, that would definitely sway on a lot of these people in an important way, maybe to the detriment of the justice system, but at the same time, there was no chance that she was getting away with it. I'm not sure if there was any like sketchy stuff that was going on there. I think she's definitely guilty, but then guilty based on the evidence and like beyond reasonable doubt is a little bit different than just like, logically, she probably did it.
I still don't even know who this is.
God damn. Well, next topic. So what about we wanted to talk a little bit about the essence of being a bloomer, which is kind of someone that really looks at the bright side, is more kind of keeps their head up and like doesn't let things discourage them, versus the doomer, which is someone that really is kind of spiraling, like more nihilistic and more kind of edgy. Well, not edgy, but like more of a pessimist and kind of like obsessed with the futility of any kind of positive engagement for their own well-being. But what do you think are some iconic bloomer or doomer movies in your mind, if we go by those descriptions?
Bloomer or doomer movies? Let's see. I think I definitely think for Bloomer movies, a good one that I can think of is the Brave Little Toaster.
Oh yeah, I've never seen it.
Oh yeah, it's a little old cartoon movie. It used to be like my favorite movie when I was a kid, back when I was a little autistic piece of shit, and now I'm just a 30-something-year-old autistic piece of shit. So
I think that's where Colossal's Crazy got his like clown face from or something. There's like some scary clown, right?
oh yeah, yeah. There's a dream sequence where the toaster, uh, basically, like he's sitting on the counter. He's having this dream, and he thinks that he's making bread as he's supposed to do, and then he
Mhm.
winds up almost being thrown into a bathtub while still plugged in,
Oh shit.
and a fucking clown who is dressed up as a fireman tries to spray him with water, and the water turns into a sea of forks. So
Oh wow, that's some
yeah,
imagery.
yeah.
Is that a
But
UK thing or?
no, the weird thing about Brave Little Toaster is that it came out as sort of a bootleg underground movie at first because it was one of the first Pixar films. It came out in
What shit?
1987. Yeah,
God damn.
it came out in 1987, and we back when I was a kid, we had it on VHS tape, on bootleg VHS tape, back before it officially came out.
Oh
And
shit.
and it was like I said, it was one of my favorite movies. I used to watch it all the time when I was a kid. But the whole theme of the movie is about planned obsolescence, because all of the characters are appliances and they have very distinct personalities. But ultimately, they overcome their whole journey, everything they go through, and they find worth like in what they can do and in who they are. And
Oh,
it's
that's
a very
really uplifting.
yeah, it's a very positive message, and you can see like mirrors of this in sentiment in terms of sentiment, like in stuff like in stuff like Toy Story, because Pixar did that in 1995. So this would have been like way pre pick like way pre Toy Story, everything like that. So I can't think
Interesting.
of I can't think of what else they did after, like Pixar did after Brave Little Toaster. I think that was definitely their first film, and they did a couple of other animated films after that. I don't know. Like that's definitely a good Bloomer one that I can think of. In terms of
Nice.
Doomer films, I don't know, maybe like Fritz the Cat or something.
And that has like a negative message or?
It's very nihilistic.
Mm.
So I mean, Toot would probably be a better person to talk to about Fritz the Cat than
But
me.
fair enough. But yeah, for me, like the thumbnail for this video is going to be a juxtaposition of Z's or Ziz. Do you know that figure in the fit community?
No.
He's this like I think he's like Armenian or something guy that was on like 4chan and the bodybuilding forums, and he was like this really skinny guy, and then he became like really jacked. He used steroids and all this kind of stuff, and he was just doing like EDM partying. He was kind of like the bro fantasy, living life, like going to festivals, having girls look his abs and stuff, and he was just like always telling people, "We're all gonna make it, brah." So that's where that kind of statement comes from. We're all gonna make it. So that's
Mm,
literally just a blooming mindset of like lifting up your fellow man and saying like, no, just gonna keep at it, and then you're gonna make it one day. Look at me. I went from the skinny kid to like this jacked picture of masculinity, and he actually died in like a Thailand sauna that they think is like a complication. There's possibly a heart condition, possibly steroid use, possibly like cocaine or Molly use and stuff. So it was, and he died at like 21, 22, but he's been this everlasting figure, which is kind of speaking to that bloomer mindset of the idea will exist even beyond you. That you benefit the community by being a bloomer. So one bloomer kind of movie I would think about would be maybe even like, have you ever seen Her with Joaquin Phoenix?
uh, I don't think so.
It's a great movie. It starts off kind of like doomy, and he's it's just the guy that lives in the future, and he's like all lonely and like having like anonymous sex online on these chats and stuff, and then he falls in love with his operating system that like is his personal assistant in life, and then eventually he kind of gets with like his ex-girlfriend who had just got divorced and stuff, and it's like more of like a human to human connection versus human to machine, but it's kind of that showing of like, if you've already given up, but you never know around the corner. what can be waiting for you in happiness. And then Doomer movie, I would probably say just like The Joker, or like maybe even Drive too. Both of those kind of meme movies where they talk about like the solo protagonist that's kind of been well, Joker more than Drive, but he's put upon by the world, and then he takes revenge and tries to make everyone feel how negatively he does, and he strikes against the aggressors and the oppressors in that way. And then Drive is more just like a guy who kind of goes his own way and then takes things into his own hands and acts in a just way, but also ultimately doesn't have the most positive ending.
Yeah,
So it's about kind of taking control.
I was gonna say because I saw the thumbnail that you had in mind that you posted. I thought that was from a Taxi Driver.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
There's a lot of parallels. People, I haven't seen I think I've seen it once, but I wasn't paying it too much attention. Very similar character study though.
yeah. I could see that as like a Doomer thing.
Mhm.
I wanted to maybe say The Shining, like is like like maybe Jack Torrance is like a Doomer character, but I don't really think that he's so much a Doomer character, more as like a deranged, incredibly stressed guy who's stuck in a giant building alone with his family, and he wants to get out, but he can't because it's winter outside and he can't go anywhere, and so he loses his mind. I don't necessarily think that's a Doomer thing. I think that's like a more of a going insane kind of a thing.
True, but often they are kind of like I guess in the Joker, they are basically equated in the sense of like the society or like the negative circumstances drives someone insane who then like kind of lashes out, I guess, for The Shining against his family and in kind of psychosis, whereas the Joker is more kind of against society and he gains followers from it because there are lots of people that are put upon in that way. So in a way, it's almost like a Bloomer movie of like he becomes a symbol of all the oppressed
Yeah,
people and becomes a hero in that way, but it's definitely a cautionary tale to the oppressors of society.
I ain't ever even seen no Joker, so
What are you doing, Briss?
I spend my time doing either working or doing my music. So there's that.
You don't watch Doomer movies. You are one.
Yeah, I am a Doomer movie. I'm just a VHS tape sitting on my computer chair. But I
Okay.
apparently also have a bladder, so I have to fucking interrupt interrupt the fucking podcast to go take a leak.
Go for it, and we'll come back with our last topic.
No, I mean I was making a reference to earlier. That's what I was doing.
Ah, fair enough. Okay, so let's move on to the last topic. This stupid or super sexy Sniper Wolf or SSSniper Wolf. She's this influencer that's been around since like the late 2000s, I think. She has these thick rimmed glasses. She's like vaguely Middle Eastern looking. You've probably recognized her if you see her. She has that thumbnail meme where she's like looking shocked with a red background in the corner at reacting to some video, but she's been around. Initially, she was kind of like the sexy girls kind of creator. Then she tried to be like the proto Pokimane and that kind of like, oh, she's cool, edgy, like gaming girl. I think she actually did play games, so she's not like too much of a fake. But she has like a teenage girl audience, and there's this one girl. She's terminally ill. I think she's like 15 or something. She has cancer. She talked to Adam22, who's this podcaster, the hip hop podcaster, and he was like, oh, who's your hero or something? She's like, yeah, I would really like Sniper Wolf is the best person. I wish I could meet her. And he's like, oh, I'll try to make it happen. And then there's this drama of like he didn't necessarily reach out to Sniper Wolf. Sniper Wolf also has beef with Keemstar for a long time too. So maybe Adam22 tried to reach her through Keemstar, and Keemstar might have shut it down. That's just me speculating because he said like, oh, I haven't heard from her. I'll try to make it happen. And then Keemstar was saying, "Oh, she didn't reply, or she's not talking to this girl who's terminally ill." And then after that, she reached out to the mom to talk about doing it. So it was in the works, and then the mom was like, "Okay, let's do it tomorrow at this time." And then she like no showed and was like, she actually said, maybe tomorrow or or if not the day after. And the day that tomorrow time came, and she didn't. She kind of ghosted her until late. She's like, "Oh, I can do it at 11 p.m." And then the mom was like, "Oh, she's gonna be asleep like by 11 p.m. That's so late. What time tomorrow will work?" She's like, "Oh, afternoon." And then tomorrow comes. She also kind of flaked a little bit. So then the mom got mad, and she's like, "Oh, like what the hell's going on? Like, just give us a concrete time, and we'll make it happen." And then Sniper Wolf probably took some kind of offense to that, and was like, "No, like we'll work around it. I've been busy over the holidays, blah blah blah. And eventually, it kind of led to a head where the mom blocked Sniper Wolf and was like, "Oh yeah, like what the hell? I can't believe you've done this to my daughter and all that." And then Keemstar aired the story and was like, "Oh, Sniper Wolf is so selfish. She's like not even doing this for the dying child. What the hell's wrong with her?" Trying to like kind of cancel her. But then Sniper Wolf came out and was like, "What the fuck? First off, this Adam 22 guy never reached out to me. So from the jump, it was kind of fake. And then second off, I tried to schedule it with the mom, and then now she blocked me, so I can't make it happen." And I can understand from the mom's point of view, like the ego and stuff. But if your daughter's 15 years old and this is her hero, I don't give a shit how shitty her hero is. You should try to make that happen for your daughter, not block the person and eliminate any possibility of that. I think now it's settled a little bit, and they're trying to hash it out. The mom and Sniper Wolf, but I thought it was an interesting case where they're trying to cancel this creator for like being negligent and being flaky or whatever. But on the same time, the mom's not exactly innocent because she's like let her ego get in the way of her daughter's dying wish. So it's a little bit of a. I'm kind of on Sniper Wolf's side in the sense of the mom should have been the bigger person in this way, and I think she's still trying to make it happen. She wasn't like I think she's just a flaky person in general and just like the self-centered narcissist, but that's why she's a creator. Um, so I understand, like, I don't think it's a good thing that she acted that way, but I understand where she was coming from. And I think, that's basically where I stand from it. What do you think about that?
I think the first fight with Sniper Wolf in Metal Gear Solid is kind of bullshit because the way that you're introduced to Sniper Wolf in Metal Gear Solid is you have to go through these claymore traps, and Meryl teaches you how to walk past the claymore traps. But the thing about it is, you can just get on your belly and go over the claymore traps and collect them as items and use them later. You can
So who
collect the
is
you can collect the claymore traps, but then what happens is you get to where you're supposed to go, and then Sniper Wolf shoots Meryl, but you
so this
don't
is
have a
so this is the
sniper rifle.
this
Wait
is
a
the
minute,
first
I'm
time
doing my
that
red letter media thing, you stupid faggot.
I don't get the reference. I actually
So
have sex, so
so you don't have a sniper rifle, so you gotta go get one. But you have to go a really far long way away to get the sniper rifle. And it's really far. You have
so
to
you bringing this
backtrack.
up
You
is the
have to
first
back
time that I've heard that like Sniper Wolf is based on a Metal Gear soccer or Metal Gear
You gotta
Solid game.
backtrack a whole bunch of ways to get the
Is
sniper rifle.
is that a
But
big like character?
and then when you get the sniper rifle and you come back, Merrill isn't there. And so you get into this big sniper rifle fight with Sniper Wolf, and it's really not that difficult. But it is tedious because it's one of the first times in the game where you have to do some first person shooting because the
Ah,
overhead angle of the camera is always ever present in everything that you do. So you do this battle with Sniper Wolf, and then you get captured, and then you get fucking electric tortured by Ocelot, who is missing an arm because he got his fucking hand cut off. But later on, you fight Sniper Wolf again, but the battle doesn't even match thematically what you had to do before. You can just use the Nikita missiles to kill Sniper Wolf because it's expected of you to just use the PSA 123 or whatever the fuck it's called, the fucking sniper, where you can just use rockets to kill her. And it's very anticlimactic. Also, she
oh,
has literal wolves, and to get past them, all you have to do is equip the handkerchief that Otacon gives you, and that's something in the game.
that's
That's
some
my
base
that's my
spell though.
review of SS Sniper Wolf.
Thank you very much for
Goodbye.
that. Thank you very much for that, Driss. And what do you think about all of these topics? Leave a comment below, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Any closing words for our first episode, Driss?
Butt sex.
That's a solid. That's two words actually. Maybe hyphenated.
I'm pretty sure that's one word.
Damn. Well, you're the expert. Thank you so much for watching this first episode of Bloomer versus Doomer. I've been Random Candor,
Butt sex.
and he's been Driss, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye now.